monster.
Before we jump into this top 7 list, there are some rules we need to take into account. Number 1, no artillery is going to be listed here. Number 2, no premium tanks are going to be listed here. And number 3, no mercenary tanks are going to be listed here. Everything else goes. And it's going to be tier 3 and up, but most of these, I think every single one is tier 7 and up. Alright, any tank that you can use for the marathon that's going on now. Old school intro, I know, isn't it great? Well, they keep copywriting my other intro, so may as well go back to the old school, old, like a long time ago. But what are we doing today? Well, today we are counting down what I believe to be the 7 most powerful tanks in World of Tanks Mercenaries, or at least the 7 ones that carry the hardest and can win the most games, because I know a lot of you are going to be going for wins within the next weekend, and that is because of this marathon going on that can get you, what is it, the Bison T103, and of course the Senshi STA2. And right off the bat, I'm just going to let you know that I would recommend getting the Senshi STA2 if you don't already have the STA2. I think that's the better vehicle, and I think hands down most people can agree with that. Otherwise, get yourself the Bison if you already have the STA2. Alright, and a special shout out needs to be made to the Conquerors. They are not on this list. I think they're overdone, talked about too much, and obviously are good, and you don't need me to tell you that they're powerful vehicles. Alright, everybody plays them, everybody shoots premium at them, everybody knows they're the most popular tanks right now, the Conqueror and the Super Conqueror. The Carnarvon is also really, really powerful. It's like a tier 8 Conqueror, but it fights tier 10s a lot, so that makes it not quite as good. But that aside, let's get into the list, and the first one obviously is the one that you see in the background, and it's the E75. You can't beat this brutality. This, in my opinion, is the most brutal tank in this game, especially with the speed buff it now has, where it goes 40. Your armor is, upper plate wise, really, really good. We say that as we get penned through the lower plate by a 704 or something that hit us hard, but that's okay, and the T32 pens us as well. But if you're able to get yourself angled, your lower plate becomes about 242 millimeters of effective, and then your upper plate is, well, they don't have a chance penning your upper plate. And then you have this 128 millimeter cannon that hits hard. It doesn't hit often, but it does hit hard. Actually, this T32, I think he's shooting HE at me as he does 100 damage to me there. That makes sense now, because I didn't know how he penned me the shot before while I was somewhat side-scraping. Yeah, he's just shooting you with HE, and so that's the case here. But yeah, this thing is brutal, and I have so many good games in this tank. This is one of those tanks, when I pull it out, and I play it 4 or 5 times, I almost always have a game where I do 4,000 or 5,000 damage in my tier 9 vehicle, and it can take on tier 10s no problem. And with its 40 km/h top speed limit, you're able to get into the faces of the enemies quickly and just brutalize them, take your speed to your advantage, and just do what you want with this thing. And that is why this tank is number 7 on this list. Number 6 is the WZ-1115A tier 10 Chinese heavy tank, and I think this is the most flexible tank in this game. It has the most potential in this game, and so I consider it the best tank in the game. I don't do the best in it, that's for sure, but I think this does have the most potential in the game. As you can see, it has the speed to relocate. We started going to the town, noticed nobody else was going, and so we decided to go this way. We called an audible this game, and it actually worked out pretty decent. The enemy team does win the town, but we're able to get back and finish them off. And this thing has a 130 millimeter cannon, which is the same as an IS-7, but its reload is just that much better, and so is its mobility, so is its gun handling, so is its gun depression, and it just allows it to do really, really sneaky things. Like this position here, we're able to use our 7 degrees of gun depression. I don't think we really needed 7 here, but throughout this game we were using this ridgeline, and nobody wanted to shoot us because of our gun depression. And unfortunately it's an ML2, so we weren't really able to fight back against him while he was hauled down. But then we used our mobility to get into the town and face off against this Super Conqueror. And if we were in IS-7, we could face hug him. We would probably hug the rear of his tank right now. And I thought about it here, but for the 5A, probably not the best idea, especially against a Super Conqueror, which a lot of people would probably throw on this list. One issue with the 5A is its ammo rack. It gets ammo rack from every angle. Your ammo rack is in the front of the tank and in the back of the turret, and yet somehow we got shot in the back of the tank, and our ammo rack got knocked out. So quite interesting there. But the ability to snap shots allows us to kill off that artillery rather quickly. And this is a harder tank to figure out and master, but if you can figure it out, I do think this thing is going to be carrying a ton of games, and you're going to be able to be very flexible and pull off quite a few wins with this thing. That is 100% for sure. And that is why this one is number 6 on the list. It would have been higher if it was an easier tank to play. Because it's not, I rank it at number 6. Number 5, we have what I consider to be the best tank destroyer in the game. Not even tier for tier. Obviously, tier for tier, this is the best one. It's at tier 9. It's going to be the best one at tier 10. And yeah, this tank is disgusting. Not with the gun I'm using now, though. The gun I'm using now is hilarious and fun to use as well. But with the 128 this thing has, it has, well, what is it? 276 millimeters of standard penetration, 352 millimeters of premium penetration, over 3,000 DPM with a good crew and such. Fantastic, let's see, alpha damage of, well, really good, solid alpha damage, should I say, with its 560, and really good gun handling. And if you decide to use the big gun, which I'm doing now, you just get to nuke people over and over and over again, which is what we're doing in this game. Every time we reload, just put another shell in with our 750 alpha damage and our 334 millimeters of heat penetration, which is what we've decided to go for here, because we're going to fight an ST1 and such. And, well, we never switched back to our standard. We don't need the premium here, but we're certainly still shooting it. And we're going to be having a cracking game here, just because of this phenomenal gun, as we put a heat shell straight into the side of that guy. And now we're going to reload and put another one into this Pershing, as we just dominate this game with this big gun, going from 1,600 damage immediately up to nearly 5,000 in literally just 1 minute and 30 seconds. Holy Toledo. 30, that's almost 3,000 damage in a minute we just did there in the Waffle Panzer IV, which I consider to be one of the greatest tank destroyers in the game. And if you want to carry in a tank destroyer, this is the one to do it in. Number 4, we needed a light tank on the list. My favorite one to pull out some wins, especially when I'm having a rough day, is the T100 LT. It's just so fast and so tiny, and it's one of those where if you aim, you miss. If you shoot on the move, you hit. Yeah, we put a shell quickly into this Sheridan, which is something this thing can do. It's just snapshots in, and that's about it. And your mobility just allows you to scoot around. We get caught out here. Kind of wasn't expecting the mediums to get here so quickly, but because of this thing's speed, we're able to escape, taking a couple of hits, but nothing too bad. Can we just return the shot? No, we can't really return the shot, but we take another hit there, but, you know, it's all good, and we're here. And not only that, this thing has armor. This thing has a surprising amount of armor. And like I said, just hitting shots on the move like that, that's what this thing can do. That's what this thing is all about. And E75, side of an E75, perhaps we could put one into him as well? No, we can't. But we tried anyway. But yeah, this thing's horsepower per ton is ridiculous. In fact, I think it's over 40. I'm gonna quickly take a look. It's got 72 top speed, 72 km/h top speed limit, and it has armor, which we'd mentioned earlier. And you're gonna see that come into play here. Not from the grill. He snaps us. I was not expecting him to do that, but as you can see, the Action X bounces off of us there, or it gets absorbed. But we're not done with the armor yet. But going back to exactly what the horsepower per ton is, it is 48 horsepower per ton on this vehicle. Holy Toledo. And yeah, that just makes this really, really, really fun. And we're about to do something with this Grill 15 that no other light tank would really be able to do. We're going to be poking out with the very front of our tank and shooting him, hopefully penning him. Unfortunately, we miss his hull there. But watch this. Doing. Yeah. He just bounced off my front hull there. Yep. Literally only this tank. And yeah, because of its speed, its small size, its amazing gun, and its armor, I think this is a tank that's very, very capable of winning games. When you have to go up against other light tanks at the same tier, I think this is one of the best ones, because they will be bouncing off of you. This tank can pretty much 1v1 any other light tank in this game, which makes this a very, very phenomenal tank if you're just looking for wins. At number 3, we have the Centurions in general. Just all of them. Straight up, the Centurions. Every single one of them. I almost put the Centurion 1 on this list, but I didn't because of tier 8 matchmaking right now. Probably not a great idea to pull those out. You may as well pull out the 7-1. I think tier for tier is one of the better Centurions in this game. Then you have the Action X, which is still phenomenal for its tier. Jack of all trades. All these tanks are jack of all trades. You have a fantastic engine on such a large vehicle, but that allows you to get to places rather rapidly if you need to, like we've done here. We've taken this position and we've got here safely. Then you have 10 degrees of gun depression, which allows you to work positions like this, work ridge lines, and then you have turret armor, which also allows you to hold those positions, which we're going to be able to do here because of our turret armor. All these things are phenomenal on these vehicles, and there's the turret armor working for you right there. They also have phenomenal guns. Arguably, the Centurion 7.1, even though it has the same gun as the Tier 10 FE422, probably has the worst gun out of the Centurions, in my own opinion. Tier for tier, that is, and that's because the gun handling is just really bad. If you do not fully aim this gun, you're going to miss, unless you're shooting inside of a T-30 who's 61 meters away. I mean, if you miss that, you're doing something wrong, right? But yeah, this gun is, it's a very trolly gun. You need to fully aim your shots, or you're going to miss what you're aiming at, and that happened to me far too many times in this game here. I'm going to chop out some of the nothingness going on and just show, you know, the action, me shooting, me hitting, me missing, so on and so forth, already aiming at us. And yeah, that's just the downside of the 7.1, though I would argue the 7.1 is one of the best tanks tier for tier in this game and can carry no matter what tier it's in. And then if you're lucky enough to shoot at tier 7s, you just get to have a field day. Back end of the Super Conqueror, put it in, no problem. But this is the Centurion 7.1, sorry, and we combine that with update 4.12, which then they combine with update 4.13, and you have shots like that, which just don't even want to go anywhere. And yeah, the same can be said to a non-moving artillery unit. Don't fully aim, the shell goes low into the tracks instead of that juicy side armor, and because of that we don't get the Hesh pen. That's just the nature of the game, the nature of the Centurion 7.1. Don't let this discourage you. The 7.1 is a phenomenal tank, and you're going to be pulling off some amazing victories in that thing because it can carry so hard. But moving down to number 2 is the M48A5 Patton. For much of the same reasons as the Centurions, except this thing, its gun just hits every time you fire because of its gun handling. Standing still, it's not as accurate as the Centurions, but when you're up close and personal like this, like we kind of were in the last game with the Centurions, this tank just does it better. Its turret armor is arguably worse. Actually, it is worse. It doesn't have the spaced armor, and it has a much larger cupola on this thing. But otherwise, this tank does everything better, except shooting standing still, and its mobility is slightly slower as well. But it's a lot more durable. You have a better hull. You have a better gun handling, better DPM, more hit points. And the turret armor isn't that much worse. It's just a little bit worse. And that allows you to get into positions like I'm in now and just hold it. But then you have tanks who flank you, and then we have to turn around to face those guys, which we'll do in a second. But the DPM of this just allows us to rip apart this Object 430U who misses his first shot. And we're going to charge him here and try to get him to bounce off, hopefully, our turret. And he does. He hits us in the turret and bounces off. And this allows us to get into position right here, where yet again we're able to use our turret armor and rip him apart. Yes, the Action X could do this. Yes, the FE422 could do this. Yes, the Centurion 7.1 could do this, but it wouldn't kill him as quickly. And the Action X and the 422 don't quite... the 422 and Action X actually don't have better armor than the Patton, but the 7.1 does. The 7.1 has a fantastic turret because of its spaced armor and its shaping. But the Tier 10 turrets, this one is better. And so, yeah, there's that. And, yeah, we're allowed to just rip apart this 430 and, you know, just have a good game, side scrape that guy, get him to bounce off of us, and then eventually use this 430 as cover against the advancing Mongolian horde as they push around us. Though, not to fret, we do win this game because the enemy team spends so much time pushing this location until eventually they are able to kill me. But you know what? We weren't alive long, but we're alive long enough to do 3,000 damage and 1,700 assisted. Number 1 greatest tank to carry and win in has to be the T-29. Hands down. That shot on the move, though. Don't worry, karma will bite us for that shot in this game. It has to be T-29. We are in probably one of the worst matchups you could possibly be in the T-29. The T-29 is one of those tanks, when I was logging into this game and getting ready to go, I was like, I don't care. Oh, Nomenhan, my second least favorite map in the game. I don't care. I'm in a T-29. Oh, Tier 9? I don't care. I'm in a T-29. Oh, there's 2 top-tier artillery on the other team. Okay, never mind. But this is one of those tanks where you don't care if you're fighting against Tier 9s because you have this turret armor and gun depression. Just like a bunch of the other tanks in this list. Turret armor and gun depression make your tank so strong. And because of this turret armor, you can go toe-to-toe with some of the Tier 9 heavy tanks. Yeah. But yeah, watch this shot. Ready? Boop. Update 4.13, ladies and gentlemen. And that continues. That seems to be a trend in this game. And as I play World of Tanks in general as of late. But yeah, you have 10 degrees of gun depression. You have phenomenal turret armor. You have a 105mm gun with only 198 pen, but that's still pretty good for tier 7. Your hit points are kind of low, 1250, but that doesn't really matter if you can find a place to hide your hull. You are almost unkillable. Almost unkillable. You can still be killed, yes. Artillery will still love you. Your gun can troll you and miss some of the easiest shots in the game. Yes, that's a thing. But, like I said, you have this turret armor and this gun depression. What more do you need? If this was a tier 8 or a tier 9, it would still be phenomenal with the hull it has. Like, for instance, the T-30 is amazing. The T-34, I think, is amazing, even though both of those are higher tier than this. But this is at tier 7. You could fight tier 5s in this thing. A tank that can handle its own in a tier 9 battle can fight an M4. Can fight a T1 heavy. When I think of overpowered tanks and just how brutal it is to be -2, when I think of this thing being +2, fighting against tier 5s, it makes me weep for the tier 5s. A tier 5 can pen a Tiger 1. A Tiger 1 can kill them very quickly and has a lot of health, but it can still get penned. Tier 5s cannot pen this thing. Oh no, they cannot. Oh, nice little blind shot there in the T20. And yeah, so that's... Yeah, if you can find yourself top tier in this, you're going to be dominating. And if you're not top tier, you can still really support your team in amazing roles and win with your tank that's 2 tiers lower. And so that's why this one is on the list. You also have a ton of ammo, so you can just dish out damage after damage after damage after damage. You can do so much damage in this thing. There's so much carry potential in this vehicle. It's rather astounding, really. But that's that. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on this list and what tanks you're going to be using to be winning. Tomorrow, I plan on doing another video just like this one, but with premium tanks. The rules are going to be the same, where no artillery or mercenary tanks, except, you know, we'll be using premium tanks instead of tech tier tanks. Obviously, that's self-explanatory. And it'll be tiers 3 through tier 8, but I think most of them are going to be tiers 6, 7, and 8 again. And I think most of them are going to be tier 8, just because that's where a lot of people are going to be playing. And if you're doing the commander mode, that's where you're going to be playing is tier 8s. And the commander mode will also get you wins for this marathon. So keep that in mind as well. Those games are very fast, so you know you can get those done. But that's it. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Leave in the comments below what you would have put on this list or what you would have removed from this list. And yeah, tell me your favorite tanks. Just let me know. Let me know. And I'll be seeing you guys all later. Thanks guys for tuning in. Take care, everyone. And peace out.